Welcome back to the Deep Dive, the show that's all about cutting through the information overload and, well, getting straight to the good stuff. Now, I bet you've been there. You're trying to get a handle on a brand new topic, maybe for work, a project, or just, curiosity.
Yeah, happens all the time.
You need to get up to speed fast, but you also need to be thorough, right? You want to find all the important pieces without just skimming and missing something crucial. It's a real balancing act.
It really is.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because navigating vast amounts of information without getting completely overwhelmed is a skill.
Definitely.
And it turns out there's a powerful research strategy specifically designed to help you do just that.
What's fascinating here is that today we're going to dive into exactly that, a method called a scoping study.
Okay.
And we're not just going to talk about the method in theory. We're going to look at a real-world case study, the journey of a large research team led by Daudt back in 2013.
Daudt.
Yeah, they actually took a foundational framework by Arksey and O'Malley and, well, they enhanced it. It's a story of expectations meeting reality, unexpected challenges.
The classic research story.
Exactly. And ultimately, groundbreaking success that offers really invaluable lessons for anyone trying to make sense of a complex topic.
Absolutely. So for this deep dive, our mission seems pretty clear then. We're going to demystify what scoping studies are, how they actually function, the crucial insights from this team's experience, and most importantly, the practical takeaways you can use to navigate your own complex topics effectively.
Right. Think of it as a strategic guide to cutting through the noise.
I like that. So let's start right at the beginning. What exactly is a scoping study?
Good question.
My favorite way to think about it is like this. Imagine you're an explorer, okay, heading into some vast, uncharted territory.
Okay.
Before you decide where to build a house or even where to, dig for water, you'd want a comprehensive map of the whole landscape, right?
Of course. You need to know what's out there.
Exactly. Where the mountains are, the rivers, the dense forests, any existing trails, and crucially, the areas that are completely unexplored. A scoping study is basically that for a research area, it's a systematic approach for broadly searching the existing literature on a specific topic.
To create that comprehensive intellectual map. Yeah, that's a perfect analogy.
I think so.
Essentially, as the researchers Mays and later Arksey and O'Malley put it, it's about rapidly mapping the key concepts and the main sources of evidence available.
Rapidly. Interesting.
Yeah, that rapidly part is interesting, and we'll definitely circle back to it later because the Daudt team had some thoughts on that.
Okay.
But the core idea is to survey the landscape, understand what's already been done. Researchers typically do this for, well, 4 main reasons.
Clear reasons, kind of.
First, it's like a reconnaissance mission, figuring out the extent and nature of research activity so you don't just reinvent the wheel.
Makes sense. Avoid duplication.
Second, it helps you decide if it's even worth doing a full, in-depth systematic review, which is a much narrower, highly focused investigation.
Right, a really deep dive on one specific question.
Exactly. Third, it allows you to summarize and share what's already known across a broad field.
Kind of a state-of-the-art summary.
Precisely. And fourth, and this is often the most powerful part, it helps you identify critical gaps in existing knowledge.
Finding what's missing.
Yeah. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you'll find that scoping studies are incredibly useful for questions that involve comparisons, say, looking at different interventions or programs or approaches.
Okay.
The real goal isn't necessarily to answer a super specific yes or no question right away, but to get a lay of the land, build that vital context.
And see where the unexplored territories lie. I like that.
That's the idea.
And to help researchers navigate this complex mapping process, Arksey and O'Malley back in 2005 provided a foundational framework.
The original blueprint.
Right. They laid out what they called 6 distinct stages for conducting a scoping study. Let's see if I remember. First, identify the research question, generally broad.
Yep, broad is key.
Then identify relevant studies, the comprehensive search part.
Cast a wide net.
Next, study selection, using inclusion and exclusion criteria.
Filtering it down.
The fourth step is charting the data, sifting, sorting, extracting.
Getting the details out.
Fifth, collating, summarizing, and reporting the findings.
Making sense of it all.
And finally, the 6th stage, which they initially described as optional, but often recommended.
That's the one. The consultation exercise with key stakeholders.
Right. Getting outside perspective.
Exactly. These steps, when you look at them on paper, seem quite straightforward, don't they?
They do seem logical, yeah.
That first step, the broad question, is your compass. The second, identifying studies, is casting the widest net possible. Third, study selection, applying those strict filters. For the fourth, charting the data. Imagine systematically pulling out all the relevant details from each document. Who did what, where, when, what they found, building that comprehensive data set.
Right, the raw material.
Then, step 5, you're synthesizing, looking for patterns, themes. And that optional sixth step, consultation, is essentially checking if your map makes sense to the people who actually, live in that territory.
Okay, so those were the established guideposts that the Daudt team started with.
They were.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The Daudt team, this large group of researchers, they embarked on their own scoping study project. Their specific goal was investigating the information needs of people with colorectal cancer. They started with what seemed like a clear question. What does the literature tell us about the information provided by healthcare professionals and needed by people with colorectal cancers across the cancer care continuum?
Seems straightforward enough.
Yeah, they were confident, even got federal funding specifically for this scoping study. That must have felt like, okay, this methodology is definitely the right fit.
Absolutely, a real validation. But as they delve deeper into the work, a growing unease kind of settled over the team.
Oh.
The elegant framework they were using, while robust, was subtly leading them astray from their core mission.
How so?
Well, they realized the original Arksey and O'Malley methodology wasn't quite giving them the tools to extract the specific patient needs they truly sought.
Oh, the crucial part.
Exactly. They could identify what researchers had addressed in the literature, but not what information patients actually wanted from their own lived experience.
Wow, that's a big disconnect.
It is, and this raises an important question, really a universal one. What happens when your chosen methodology doesn't quite align with the nuance of your original question?
Yeah, what do you do then?
Well, the Daudt team faced a pivotal moment. They had to make a mid-process revision of their research question to align with what the data could actually answer.
Okay, so they adapted.
They shifted to, what does the literature tell us about which aspects of the information provided by healthcare professionals and needed by people with colorectal cancer have been addressed by researchers?
It sounds subtle, but I guess the focus changed from patient needs to what researchers looked at.
Precisely. It might seem like a tweak, but it's incredibly profound. The unexpected but incredibly valuable outcome of this pivot was identifying a significant glaring gap.
Like gap.
Yes. There was very little literature that actually drew on the perspective of people with colorectal cancer themselves.
So the patient voice was missing.
Largely missing from what had been researched and published up to that point. This wasn't a failure of their study. It was a groundbreaking discovery.
Wow.
It led them directly to their next, more in-depth research project, focused specifically on capturing that patient perspective.
So the scoping study revealed exactly where the real work needed to be done next.
Exactly. It's a profound lesson, isn't it? Sometimes the most valuable step isn't answering your first question, but realizing you need to ask a different, maybe better question. That clarity opens up whole new pathways.
What a powerful insight. It really feels like a universal truth for so many projects, not just research. Sometimes the goal shifts. So with that powerful lesson in mind, how did this experience actually lead them to refine the framework itself? Let's break down their recommendations, maybe starting from step 1.
Identifying.
The research question.
Right. The Daudt team learned the hard way, you could say, that you absolutely need to clarify and link the purpose and the research question right from the very start.
Be super clear up front.
Exactly. Define your core concepts early on. It's key to avoiding those frustrating mid-process revisions or having to adjust your question just to fit the data you've already collected.
Like setting your compass correctly before you even start walking.
Perfectly put. Then, moving to step 2, identifying relevant studies. Now, comprehensiveness is paramount for mapping a field, obviously.
You got to find everything.
But the Daudt team, being this large interprofessional group, found a smart efficiency. They tasked a small, suitable team, in their case, their dedicated librarian, with the search design and execution.
Delegate the search strategy.
Yeah. It ensured much greater consistency and avoided the pitfall of too many interpretations leading to, inconsistent results, like having one expert cartographer design the route.
Makes sense. And less room for error with multiple people doing searches differently.
Precisely. It also highlights the immense benefit of using online citation management software. Think EndNote, Zotero.
Oh yeah, indispensable for big projects.
Absolutely. Keeps thousands of references organized, makes cross-checking incredibly efficient, a real digital assistant.
Okay, so that's step 2 handled better. What about step 3, study selection?
For step 3, study selection, again, their sheer size influenced their approach. Instead of just 2 reviewers, they use a 3-tiered process.
3 tiers.
Yeah. Teams of 2 independently reviewed articles then compared their results. If there were disagreements.
Which happens?
Oh, frequently. Then a 3rd reviewer, like the research assistant or the librarian, stepped in to resolve them. This ensured both rigor and efficiency for such a large team.
A built-in arbitration system.
Kind of, yeah. But here's a really crucial recommendation they made, addressing a major omission in the original framework.
What was that?
The original Arksey and O'Malley framework didn't explicitly provide for assessing the quality of the studies you find.
Really? It just said find them.
Pretty much map what's there. But the Daudt team, like many others, saw this as a significant concern. I mean, not all information is created equal, right?
Definitely not. Some studies are much stronger than others.
Exactly. So if your scoping study is going to inform actual practice or future research, you need to know if the evidence you're mapping is robust or, frankly, a bit flimsy.
So they added a quality check step.
They strongly suggested that quality assessment must be factored in, maybe using established checklists or validated instruments designed for that purpose. Don't just map, evaluate.
That seems vital. Okay, step 4. Charting the data. Pulling out the details. Any enhancements there?
Yes. The Daudt team emphasized conducting a trial charting exercise with group consultation before diving into the full data extraction.
Like a dry run.
Exactly. Everyone practices filling out the beta sheet for maybe 5 or 10 articles, then they all get together, discuss it, refine the categories, make sure everyone's interpreting things the same way.
Iron out the kinks early.
Right. This proved invaluable for reaching consensus and avoiding misinterpretations later on when they were dealing with hundreds of articles.
Smart. Any other practical tips for charting?
Just a simple but effective one for big teams. Assign unique identifying numbers to articles.
Oh, instead of just author year.
Yeah. Makes tracking, discussion, and referring back to specific sources much more efficient than constantly saying, the Smith 2012 paper. No, the other Smith 2012 paper.
Ah, been there. Unique IDs, got it. Those are such valuable hands-on insights, especially for any team tackling a big information project.
They really are.
Now, let's look at step 5, collating, summarizing, and reporting. Did they suggest changes here too?
They did. The Daudt team strongly endorsed adding a stage that resembles qualitative data analysis techniques, often called a thematic analysis, after the initial quantifying part.
So go beyond just counting things.
Exactly. Beyond just the numbers, how many studies, what kinds they recommend, diving into the stories and meanings within the literature.
Looking for themes across the studies.
Right. This really helps make sense of complex information, unearth deeper patterns, and provides a richer understanding than just surface-level facts. They found it helped them prioritize aspects of the literature that were truly relevant for future research.
So it adds depth to the summary.
Sure.
Okay, and finally, step 6, the consultation exercise. You mentioned it was originally optional.
It was. But the Daudt team, agreeing with other researchers like Levac, felt it should be a requirement, not optional.
Make it mandatory.
Because getting that stakeholder feedback is crucial for ensuring the relevance and applicability of the findings. But what was particularly unique and powerful for the Daudt team was how they tackled this.
What did they do?
They incorporated healthcare providers directly into their research team from the start.
Ah, so the consultation was ongoing, built in.
It's essentially, yes. It served as constant consultation throughout the entire process. It enriched the analysis with real-world clinical experience and allowed for early revisions of their charting categories based on practical insights.
Like having your map reviewed by people who actually know the terrain while you're still drawing it.
That's a great way to put it. However, they stressed a critical caveat.
Which was?
Consultation only works if the results are germane, relevant, and meaningful to the group being consulted.
Makes sense. You can't ask for feedback on something that doesn't relate to the consultee's experience.
Exactly. And in their case, remember the shift in their research question. They realized they couldn't really consult directly with colorectal cancer patients on their initial findings.
Because the study, as it turned out, hadn't captured enough of the patient perspective to make that consultation meaningful at that stage.
Right. Another powerful lesson in aligning your process, your findings, and your intended audience.
Wow. The structure of the Daudt team itself sounds fascinating. You said it was large and interprofessional.
Indeed, it was a massive group, 12 people in total, and truly interprofessional. Academic researchers alongside clinical practitioners.
From which fields?
Oh, a wide array. Nutrition, radiation therapy, counseling, nursing, biology, library science, social sciences. It brought together deep academic insights with the day-to-day realities of clinical practice.
A team of 12 with all those different disciplines. That sounds like a logistical puzzle.
It certainly had its complexities.
But beyond the coordination challenges, what unique advantages did they find in having such a diverse brain trust?
Well, the strengths were quite undeniable. First, just the sheer breadth and depth of clinical and research knowledge. Everyone brought something different.
Multiple angles on the problem.
Exactly. Spotting nuances or connections that a smaller, less diverse team might completely miss. Second, it created significant time efficiencies, especially in those really labor-intensive stages like study selection and data charting.
Divide and conquer.
Right. They could strategically divide tasks, lightening the load for each individual. And third, having so many diverse perspectives undoubtedly added rigor. People constantly questioned assumptions, prompted deeper analysis.
Kept each other honest, basically.
In a way, yeah. It helped catch potential blind spots. It's like having a dozen sets of expert eyes on your map, each looking for something different.
That makes a lot of sense. But I imagine managing that many expert opinions also brought its own set of, well, headaches. What challenges did they run into?
You're absolutely right. The challenges primarily revolved around the human element,
People being people.
Pretty much. Reaching consensus among so many competing perspectives, which naturally arise from different disciplinary backgrounds, sometimes slowed things down, productivity could dip.
Like trying to pick a dinner spot with 12 experts.
Huh. Exactly. Everyone has a strong opinion. Establishing a common language or vocabulary was also an unexpected hurdle.
Jargon differences.
Yeah. What evidence means to a biologist might be different from what it means to a social scientist or a nurse. Getting everyone on the same page took effort.
I can see that.
And then, of course, just the practical resource limitations. Coordinating 12 busy professional schedules, ensuring consistent communication across the group. It just required significantly more effort.
More coordination overhead.
Definitely. Their conclusion was very clear, though, and it applies to any large group project, really.
What was it?
Effective communication is key to the success of a large group. It's not just about what you do, but how you talk about it and coordinate it.
That's a lesson for any team, honestly, not just researchers. So all these experiences, the initial dilemma, the revised questions, the practical enhancements, the team insights, they all led to a refined understanding of what a scoping study truly is.
Exactly. The Daudt team's experience, combined with the work of others building on Arksey and O'Malley, led them to propose a revised definition of scoping studies, one that really reflects their real-world journey.
What's their proposed definition?
They suggest scoping studies aim to map the literature on a particular topic or research area and provide an opportunity to identify key concepts, gaps in the research, and types and sources of evidence to inform practice, policymaking, and research.
Okay, let's break that down. What are the key changes from the original idea?
Notice a couple of things. First, they removed the word rapidly.
Ah, right. You said we'd come back to that.
Yeah. This emphasizes the need for thoroughness and thoughtfulness. It acknowledges that these studies, done well, do take time and deep engagement. It's not just a quick glance.
So manage expectations on timing.
Right. And implicitly, this new definition also includes that crucial aspect of quality assessment that they and others had so strongly advocated for.
It's baked in now.
It's implied in the goal of informing practice and policy. You need quality evidence for that. So it's about a thoughtful, strategic exploration.
That new definition really positions scoping studies as an even more powerful tool, doesn't it? For that initial exploration and finding the gaps.
Yes, it frames it as a crucial, thoughtful, strategic step before any deeper, more targeted research begins. It's about laying a truly solid foundation for understanding.
Not just mapping, but understanding the quality and completeness of the map.
And that's the real takeaway here for everyone, I think. A scoping study, even when it doesn't answer your original question in the way you first expected.
Like with the Daudt team.
Exactly. It can still be an absolutely essential first step. It can pivot your focus, reveal critical gaps in knowledge, clarify what's truly out there, and pave the way for future, more targeted research.
So understanding what you don't know can be incredibly valuable.
often far more valuable than simply confirming what you thought you already knew. It's about being strategically informed before you commit major resources.
So, thinking about our listener, what does this all mean for you in your own information gathering efforts, whether it's for work, school, or just personal growth?
Well, maybe consider matching your approach to your question more deliberately.
Yeah, are you trying to map out a whole field before you dive into a specific problem, or are you looking for a very precise answer right now?
Exactly. And realizing that a structured approach, maybe borrowing some ideas from this refined scoping study framework, can bring immense clarity and efficiency even to personal projects.
And don't underestimate the power of diverse perspectives, even if it means bringing in just one other person to challenge your thinking when tackling complex problems.
Absolutely. It might mean more discussion, sure, but it almost always enriches the understanding.
So a final thought to leave people with.
Maybe just consider how often we jump to conclusions based on limited information, when maybe a thoughtful scoping of the landscape first, like the one we've explored today, might completely change our understanding.
Change what we think is needed, or even what questions we should be asking next.
Precisely. It's about asking better questions to ultimately get better answers.
A fantastic thought. Thank you for diving deep with us today.
My pleasure.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the topics that matter to you. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.